vamos a hablar de nouns and articles en español, que es muy formal, pero importante, porque nouns en español tiene mucho en común con nouns en inglés, pero hay otras cosas que son diferentes, ¿ok? Entonces, empecemos con la pregunta en inglés, una pregunta de la gramática de la escuela primaria. What is a noun? What is a noun? How would you define a noun? Person, place, thing, or idea. Muy bien, excelente. It's been a while since you've had to regurgitate that information. A person, place, or thing. Like Kyle's a noun, the classroom's a noun, Charleston's a noun, the water bottle is a noun, right? These are all nouns. And nouns usually have articles. In English, the class or a water bottle, right? Articles, a, an, or. So they can be people, and this is the same as Spanish. Personas, lugares, no? El parque, la plaza, los cafés, nouns. And nouns in español are sustantivos. Or a thing, like la pelota or la botella de agua, no? La cosa. Okay? So now we're going to indicate, just to review, our concepts of nouns, sí or no. Okay? ¿Es un sustantivo? Sí or no. Pero en español. ¿El profesor? Sí. Ok, muy bien. Y todos necesitan participar por indicar con sus pulgares sí o no. Ok. El lápiz. El lápiz. Entonces, si es necesario, refieren a esta página de vocabulario. El lápiz, sí, muy bien. Ser. Muy bien. El país. Sí. Inteligente. No, adjetivo, ¿no? La mujer. Sí. La cosa. So what pattern did you notice when we were going through those? All the nouns had what in common? An article, or specifically el or la, as well as lo, la, los, or las. So even if you didn't know what el país is, and I don't expect you to know yet, eventually, what el país is, you saw the el, and you were like, that's a noun, because it has an L in front of it. Versus ser, which I don't expect you to know just yet. You will by the end of this chapter. But ser didn't have el, la, los, or las, so the answer was no, like inteligente. We didn't have el, la, los, or las. So nouns in Spanish must have an article. That's how you identify a noun in Spanish, by their articles. So to conclude or recap what we just went through, a person could be la mujer. Yo soy una mujer. Olivia es una mujer. Kyle no es una mujer. Or a place, el país. Los Estados Unidos es un país. México es un país. Argentina es un país. La cosa, la botella de agua, es una cosa. El lápiz. So they all have articles, and all of these are singular articles. But we also have plural articles. The plural article of el is los. So if we're talking about one country, el país. But what if we were talking about multiple countries? The countries. Making el plural, we simply do what? Change el to what? Los. And we can apply that same process to la, to make la plural. We simply change it to las, okay? That's fácil. We have that reference here. But how would we make país plural? It ends in a consonant, like we have el chico, the singular of los chicos. But to make país plural? Yes, exactly, just like English. Países, and we leave the accent on this one. Or how would we make la cosa plural? Las cosas. Muy bien, excelente. And all of these, el, los, la, and las, translate into one word in English. The. Why do you think we have 4 different ways of saying the in Spanish? What are you noticing as different in terms of rules with articles and nouns in Spanish versus English? We have the water bottle, or the book, or the countries, or the country. So we have singular and plural in English, don't we? The guy versus the guys, right? We can make nouns plural in English, but what's different about English and Spanish in terms of gender, right? We don't have gender in English. Nouns don't have gender in English. A book's a book. There's no feminine reference to the book. But in Spanish, every single noun has a gender. Every single. Like, this water bottle is feminine, but this pencil is masculine. So this is a major difference in Spanish versus English. And so you're responsible for knowing that, which we're going to talk about. So we classify nouns into 2 categories, masculine and feminine, okay? Singular and plural. So how can you tell if a noun is masculine or feminine in Spanish? Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. Right, sometimes masculine words end in O and feminine words end in ah, right? Like, let's see, like el chico or la manzana, no? But sometimes our noun doesn't end in an O or an A, like clase. Or sometimes what they end in, even if it's an O or an A, it's actually the opposite. Like problema is actually masculine, el. So those articles, el, la, los, and la, it's really el and la in their singular form, help you learn, is this a masculine noun or feminine noun? Clase. The article for clase is la, which tells us clase is feminine. So if we want to say it's a good class, and we want to use the word good, the adjective good, ¿cómo se dice good? Bien or bueno. If I want to describe the class saying it's a good class, I would say es una clase buena. Because everything has to agree in Spanish. So this is something that's very different than English. And I'll tell you what, even in 202, teaching 202, and their grammar's all advanced and fancy and they can write paragraphs, they still make errors in agreement. Why? Because they're 18, 20, 25 years old. And if they're native English speakers, they're teaching their brain to do something completely different than what we do in English. And it's really simple and subtle. Would you still be understood if you make an agreement error in gender? Of course you will. If you say, oh, es una clase muy bueno, it's not a big deal. You'll still be understood, but to make it grammatically correct, to get it right on the super site, to get it right on the test, you would need to write clase buena. Okay, so those articles are really, really helpful in determining the gender because some are not always obvious. Okay, so on a little scrap piece of paper, write an M-A on one side and an F-A on the other. Okay, el lápiz, masculino or femenino? Fantástico. Okay, es un ejemplo de un sustantivo masculino. Without that article, it's very hard to tell the gender of your pencil. But the article tells us that it is masculine. El lápiz. So, how are you supposed to remember that? Study it. You need to study it. And I always recommend using Quizlet as a resource. You can put your words on one side or your nouns on one side of your flashcard and the article on the other. You can write them out if you'd like, the hard ones. Don't bother with like la manzana because it's so obvious, but maybe the hard ones, you can make paper flashcards or you can use Quizlet. Quizlet's not only for vocab, it can also be for grammar, and I reference it a lot. Okay. Masculino or femenino? Indiquen con sus letras. M, chicos, muy bien. Los estudiantes. Masculino, los, ¿no? Aunque tenemos ES. But in español, it's important to note that los estudiantes includes men and women. So I would refer to you as los estudiantes de mi clase a las 9 son muy inteligentes, okay? So the masculine gender, when referring to people, because people obviously have gender, the masculine article overrides, even if it's 100 women and one guy. Es los estudiantes. El país, femenino or masculino, refiriendo al artículo, es obvio, ¿no? Masculino. El país, ¿no? Los mapas, ¿cuál es? La clasificación es masculino. So this would be one that's not obvious that you might want to study. El mapa, los mapas. It totally looks feminine. So you have to memorize this one because it's not obvious. Las mujeres. And again, just looking at the noun, no es obvio, pero el artículo indica las mujeres. ¿Y cómo se dice mujeres en inglés? Women, no, mujeres, even though it doesn't have an A. El cuaderno, masculino, muy bien. Los profesores, muy bien, excelente. Aunque puede incluir a mujeres también. Okay, so this is what I was mentioning previously. The word is masculine even if we have women in the group. Refer to the masculine. Okay, y en el libro tenemos más práctica, pero no tenemos tiempo. Entonces tienen mucha más práctica